right, so I'm going to work on the ears now with this face look function. So I want to turn on ear left and ear right. I'm going to press U on my keyboard. And I've already got the X and Y position started off here in the middle. I've already zeroed those out. So when she looks left, I'm going to move that slider to the left. And there's a couple of things we need to happen. So first, this back ear, which will be her left ear, that's going to need to be in front of her head. So let's find head in the position list. Here's head. And let's move all of these down below ear, above hair. So that's not quite what we want to happen. Let's Control Z that. Let's try just popping the ear as she looks left out. So that'll be 3. And as she looks right, we want that ear to hide behind her head. We don't want it completely out of sight though. Let's try -2. All right. For the Y position on that ear, so I'm going to set her forward. When she looks up, her ear needs to go down. So when she looks up, we're over here. And we want her ear to go down. And for right now, I'm just going to move this keyframe over so that it's just the forward keyframe, the 0, 0. And I don't want it that far down on her head. I think I want it about there at 2. So I'm going to move everything back. And so if we have it over to the right, that should be how I want it to look. That's how it should be looking at the 0, 0. Let's move that back. And straight up. And we should have 0 and and then the Y position. So let's move that over. Alrighty. And then for the down position, we'll move that down. And we'll just move these over. So now we had 2, so let's try positive or -2 to move her ear up. And I think that's looking pretty good. So that's her down position. That's her middle position. And that will be her up position. I think that looks pretty okay. Let's try that out. And that's just for the ear, right? The left ear. Alrighty. So I'm going to grab these X values for that ear, hit properties. I'm going to switch it to Y and hit properties for that. Alright, now let's move her head around and just see how the ear is looking at these different positions. Alright, that looks pretty good to me. Let's do that with the other ear now. Alright, so let's do the right ear. So the first position is going to be 0, 0. If we move her head to the right, you can see that when she moves to the right, if we move her ear to the right, so let's do that. It's going to look a little bit awkward. It might look okay, but let's try to get it so that that earring is overlapping her jaw. When I do that, her ear looks too small over here, so I don't want to do that so far. Let's just try +2. Let's do a little bit further back. +1. Then we have 0 here in the middle. And then if we look to the left, we have a bit of an issue. And that issue is that this ear needs to be hiding behind her head a little bit. So if we just move it over, we have a little bit of overlap on that jaw. And we want it to just be kind of peeking through. There we go. Not quite like that. The other issue is we don't want it to be way out over, so we can't just do the opposite of what we had. Now, I think what we could do is just try to mask the ear layer with a second ear layer, which is a little bit tricky. We'll have to do some opacity stuff, but I think that's a good exercise to try. So let's try to do that a little. Let's try to put it first where we want it to be. So if this is +1, let's try +2. Okay, maybe 2.5. Let's try animating this really quick. So I'm gonna set this as 0, 0, and then turn on my stopwatch. And then over on the left, let's just move the position straight over. And then over the right, let's do the same thing, just so that we can see that testing. So it looks like it's almost right. And even if we didn't add the positions that they're at right now, I think that that would be okay. And let's try just moving it straight up and straight down. And let's just see if that looks all right. It's not my favorite, but let's see if adjusting that Y position will help us. So let's look to the Y position that we had for the other ear. And the Y position there was going to be 2 and -2. So let's just go ahead and set that 2 and -2, since they should be the same height. And I think it's a little too close on that right position. So let's adjust that so that for this layer, let's try +0.5. Let's try 0 just to see for a second. -0.5? No, too far. -0.5. Alright, it's not quite accurate, but it looks a lot better to me. So I'm gonna go with how it looks instead of how the accuracy is, and I think that'll actually make things easier for us as well. Okay, so let's just go ahead and set those then. So I'm gonna turn off my position up here, and let's go ahead and set these. So I've got the Y position selected, it's in face look still. I'm just gonna turn on properties, And the X position, let's switch the axis to X and turn on properties. So these should both be red now. And we can close both of these out by pressing U on the keyboard. And now we have a very dynamic face look around. All right,